And this is the problem, because even to get out from some of these huge mortgage payments that people are going to have after they renew from that low fixed rate, they'll probably have to take a loss on their house. And when you do that, you still owe the bank. Last year, we were forecasting that Canada may be heading towards a mortgage crisis. Now, new data is out that shows that this disturbing possibility may slowly becoming a reality across the country. All the while, Mark Carney and the Liberals are telling everyone that things are going just great. Let's take a look. Power of sale listings spike across Ontario, piling pressure on housing market. Many of the cases trace back to risk-taking in the ultra-low rate period from 2020 to mid-2022. Power of sale listings are rising across Ontario, signaling mounting financial strain among some homeowners and adding pressure to an already weak housing market. When a homeowner can no longer pay the mortgage, the lender can take ownership of the property and sell it. John Basalis, president of Realosophy Realty, says rising mortgage arrears are a key signal behind the trend. While not every homeowner who falls behind will ultimately lose their property, arrears tend to precede power of sale activity. According to CMHC, mortgage delinquency rates have climbed from 0.13% in the first quarter of 2020 to 0.24% in the third quarter of 2025, which is a whopping 60% increase, folks. Quote, when the 90-day arrears are very low, you have very few power of sales, end quote, Pasalis said. Quote, when it increases, you definitely see a big increase, end quote. And here's the mortgage delinquency rate over time. So you can see in 2020, it was, just a little below 0.15%. And you can see the dramatic rise and continued expectation that it's going to increase in 2026, as we were unfortunately forecasting near the end of 2025. Experts say power of sale listings are increasing in Ontario and are expected to climb further in the year ahead. This activity typically emerges only after months of missed payments and failed or delayed voluntary sale attempts. Tom Story, a sales representative at Royal LePage, says that while a wave of higher mortgage renewals plays a role, many power of sale cases trace back to risk-taking during the ultra-low rate period from 2020 to mid-2022. While power of sale listings still make up only a small share of the market, some experts say their impact can trickle down through the housing market. Ron Butler, a mortgage broker at Butler Mortgage, says lenders will sometimes accept lowball offers on these properties, which can affect neighboring home sales. The way real estate works is that the most recent sale of a similar home is then used as a comparison for other properties when they go up for sale, he says. Quote, you'll hear houses are sold at the margins, end quote. And herein lies the problem. So as Canadians are forced to contend with the fact that they can't keep up with their mortgage payments, or when they renew at a rate that is, in some cases, 4, 5, even 10 times higher than it was before, they are now in this scenario where they can't make the mortgage payments. So rather than the bank foreclosing, what the bank will do is take back the property, try and sell it, get rid of most of the debt that was actually left because it's not going to be paid for by the the homeowner, and then they will cut their losses. So here's the issue. Homeowner buys their home at an ultra low rate during the COVID crisis, 2021. And let's say that they have a $500,000 mortgage on a $1 million property. So that's a pretty large mortgage to actually have and to, start paying for. But people were getting mortgages much, much higher than that. So For the sake of argument, let's say there's $250,000 left on that mortgage and the person cannot complete their mortgage payments. So what the bank may end up doing is just selling that property, not for $1 million, but for maybe 900,000 or 800,000, or the person may try to sell it for that much, which leaves a shortfall of around $100,000 or $200,000 left on the home. And this is the problem. This is why people that are stuck paying these giant mortgage payments, who may not be delinquent yet, but they have no money at the end of the pay period for things like food, they also can't sell their homes because, as it said there, banks are, instead of foreclosing, they're selling off these properties and taking lowball offers, lowering the value of all of the other houses that are around that property. Because those of you that have actually purchased or sold properties, you understand that this is what happens. So the real estate agents that are trying to find a property for their prospective buyer are looking at a neighborhood and they're comparing all the similar buildings and homes to ones that have sold recently in the area. That way they understand the market value and they understand what they can actually pitch for it. So if you have someone that's trying to sell their home for, say, $1.25 million, which back in, say, 2019, maybe that was only a $500,000 home, and the bank sold that similar home for, say, $900,000, well, that's a $350,000 difference. So the person that's trying to sell it for 1.25 versus the bank only getting 900 for it, and new prospective buyers coming in, there's no way they're going to pay 1.25 for that home that other person is trying to sell. And this is a cascading problem, because if that person that's trying to sell their home for 1.25 is saying, look, I can't make the payments anymore, or I'm going to be in a position where I can't make the payments anymore when my mortgage renewal happens, and now they can't sell that home. Now, what happens if they become delinquent? The lender takes that home and then has to sell that at a lower price. And it may be even lower than the lowball offer that they accepted on the other one, because now the whole market is being brought down a little bit. And so you have cascading effects that are rippling through the real estate economy and affecting Canadians. And this isn't hypothetical. This isn't conspiratorial. This is the data that came out there. And here's a real world case from the Globe and Mail. They bought their condos in the pandemic. Now they're stuck bleeding cash. An hour's drive from downtown Toronto and just under 1,000 square feet, the 2-bedroom condo was never meant to be home for long. It was a stepping stone into an overheated housing market for Francesca Park and her partner. In 2021, the longtime renters had suddenly found themselves with stable government jobs and qualifying for a $500,000 mortgage. Quote, everyone around me was saying, if you own a place, it's an investment, end quote, Miss Park, 36, said. Why pay someone else's mortgage? They thought they'd lucked out when their offer to buy a $520,000 2-bedroom condo was accepted. But 5 years later, Miss Park sees things differently. If the couple were to sell the condo today, they estimate they'd lose $70,000 to $100,000. Leasing would mean a $6,000 annual loss based on the difference between what they could charge for rent and their mortgage payment plus condo fees. So here's a disturbing graph, GTA condo prices by purchase year. So you can see that for a condo that was bought in 2016, it was sold in January of 2026 at around $548,000 with a net gain of around $161,000. Versus if the condo was bought all the way down in 2022 at $525,000, it was seeing a loss of $116,000 if it was sold in January of 2026. And as this says, a growing number of Canadians who purchase starter homes at peak market prices are now in a bind. They can sell at a loss, attempt to rent it out in a punishing market, or postpone reaching major life milestones in a gamble that the market rebounds soon. According to January data from House Sigma, condo owners in the Greater Toronto Area who bought in 2020 and sold last month saw a median loss of $18,700. Those who bought in 2021 lost $56,000, and 2022 condo owners lost a whopping $116,000, or 19%. And this is the problem, because even to get out from some of these huge mortgage payments that people are going to have after they renew from that low fixed rate to that really, really high fixed rate or variable rate, whatever it is, they'll probably have to take a loss on their house. And when you do that, you still owe the bank. So you don't get out from under that mortgage. You might be able to refinance it. So instead of paying whatever you're paying on your monthlies for a $500,000 mortgage payment, maybe you refinance that down to a $100,000 or $200,000. But then where are you going to live, and how much are you going to pay rent for that? This is the problem, and you're seeing this all over Canada, from Vancouver to Nova Scotia. So while Mark Carney is out there trying to convince everyone, hey, everything is just tickety-boo, these are Canadians that made, unfortunately, poor financial decisions during the whole COVID era, when Justin Trudeau was out there telling everyone, use your credit card, take out a loan. We're borrowing, so you don't have to. Well, all those Canadians that listen to him, their time is unfortunately here, and the banks are expecting them to pay up. And if they don't, well, as we all know, the banks always get their money in the end, don't they?